There's a reason your presence unsettles people, even when you say nothing. A reason some watch you closely, whisper behind your back, or suddenly distance themselves when your name comes up. It's because, whether they admit it or not, they know who you really are in the spirit. You are the feared detective chosen by God himself, not a detective in the worldly sense, but in the divine, one who carries the discernment to uncover secrets, expose hidden plots, and trace stolen destinies back to their rightful owners. And now, something is shifting in the heavens. Something that was once locked away, taken from you in secret, hidden by people who thought they got away with it, is beginning to return. Yes, your stolen inheritance is being restored. The spiritual blessings, opportunities, and even material resources that were delayed or hijacked are now being divinely redirected back into your hands. Doesn't it make you wonder, who took it, and why did they fear you would one day find out? If you're feeling a stirring in your spirit already, drop a 777 in the comments as a prophetic act of alignment. It's not by accident that you're here. This message has found you because God is declaring that justice is being served on your behalf. And to every faithful soul who's supported this ministry through super thanks, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Your generosity continues to push this message of truth, healing, and divine revelation into corners of the world we never imagined reaching. We bless you abundantly. But now it's time to go deeper. What exactly was stolen from you? Why were you targeted in the first place? And what role does your divine assignment as God's detective play in uncovering the truth behind the scenes? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear may explain not only your past pain, but the powerful purpose rising within you now. God's chosen ones, you're the feared detective. Stolen inheritance is finally being returned to you. The truth is no longer buried. It rises now before you like a long-awaited sunrise, undeniable, piercing, and powerful. For far too long, unseen forces worked in silence, weaving dark threads through the fabric of your life, stealing blessings that were written into your destiny before you ever took your first breath. Can you sense it now? The betrayals you endured, the closed doors you knocked on in vain, the sudden financial droughts that left you questioning your path, they were never mere coincidence. These events were part of a strategic plan to block you from discovering the royal inheritance that was marked with your name in heaven. Each delay you faced was a diversion. Each relationship that fell apart wasn't random. It was orchestrated to cloud your vision and confuse your spirit so you wouldn't trace the path back to your divine legacy. Yet somehow, without guidance from this world, you cracked the code. Like a silent warrior in a spiritual battlefield, you put together clues others overlooked. The people who tried to suppress your inheritance thought you would never catch on. They forged your name onto contracts, secured assets meant for your lineage, and toasted their deception behind closed doors. They stepped into roles created for your calling, believing your silence confirmed your ignorance. But little did they know, you were never silent because you were lost. You were silent because you were watching, because God was training you. What they failed to see was that you carry within you the spiritual blueprint of a divine detective. You were born with investigative gifts far beyond the natural realm, gifts coded into your soul by the Creator himself. Just like Daniel in the lion's den, you were surrounded by enemies, yet God gave you insight to interpret dreams and unravel hidden things. Do you remember how Joseph, betrayed by his brothers and sold into slavery, later rose to power in Egypt? He never lost sight of the divine compass guiding him through suffering, and neither did you. When the enemy thought you were breaking, God was building within you a spiritual X-ray vision capable of seeing beyond surface lies. Your discernment sharpened every time they tried to cloud your mind. Your heavenly instincts activated the moment they believed you were distracted. Like a spiritual investigator working under divine orders, you developed the ability to detect deception without confrontation, to decode chaos with peace, and to expose theft without violence. As this process unfolded, heaven watched in silence, yet fully engaged. The Lord saw every manipulated signature, every stolen opportunity, and every twisted narrative, and now the tide is turning in your favor. As it is written in Luke 8:17, "For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open." You were never truly in the dark. You were being equipped to shine light on what they tried to bury. Consider the story of Erin Brockovich, a legal clerk with no formal law training who uncovered a massive environmental scandal that even powerful corporations tried to suppress. Against all odds, she exposed the truth. You, too, have followed a similar path. You may not have worn a badge, but in the spiritual realm, you are a feared detective, one whose authority is divinely sanctioned. Have you ever wondered why the enemy fears your awakening more than your actions? Because once you remember who you are, everything stolen must be returned. The days of deception are over. The inheritance marked for you, the one they tried to reroute, is coming back. Every stolen promise, every delayed reward, every hidden treasure is now being recalled into your hands. Because you didn't just survive the battle, you investigated it. You uncovered truth with spiritual eyes, and now the judge of all creation has ruled in your favor. Get ready. Justice is not coming. Justice is already here. Do you truly understand what's happening right now? Or have you only begun to scratch the surface? This moment you're standing in is more than a return of stolen possessions or lost money, though yes, they're coming back with divine interest. What you've just done is expose one of the greatest spiritual heists ever launched against a chosen one, and not just any chosen one. You. Through divine instinct and spiritual intelligence, you unraveled layers of deception that no one else would have even noticed. Has it ever crossed your mind why you were the one chosen to see what others couldn't? Your ability to uncover this conspiracy wasn't something you learned in a classroom. It was embedded in your very DNA. Like Proverbs 20:27 says, "The spirit of a man is the lamp of the Lord, searching all his innermost parts." Your spirit has been functioning like a searchlight, revealing evidence buried in spiritual darkness. That gift? It was activated precisely when injustice reached its boiling point. Why do you think others, even those closest to you, couldn't see what you saw? Why were you the only one feeling that unsettling nudge when everyone else seemed blind to the betrayal? It's because your spiritual blueprint contains an investigation protocol designed by the Creator himself. Only you were equipped to detect the fingerprints of deception in this cosmic crime scene. The enemy thought they could impersonate you. They signed your name, stole your voice, accessed rooms built for your legacy, but they never realized they were dealing with someone divinely trained for multi-dimensional warfare. As Isaiah 54:17 declares, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn." They rose, and now they fall. Just like Joseph, betrayed by family, sold as a slave, wrongfully imprisoned, you endured silence and injustice. But God used it all. In the end, Joseph told his brothers, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Genesis 50:20. Can you see how every betrayal in your life was a breadcrumb trail leading you to your rightful seat of authority? Even in modern times, we see similar spiritual patterns. Consider Erin Brockovich, a single mother with no formal legal training. She unearthed a massive cover-up of contaminated water in California and brought a billion-dollar corporation to justice. She didn't wear a badge, but she carried purpose. What if her inner fire, her relentless curiosity, was the same kind of spiritual software God has installed in you? Or take the story of Harriet Tubman. Born into slavery and beaten down by cruelty, she escaped, only to return over and over again to rescue others. Historians now believe she had vivid visions and spiritual dreams guiding her path. She said, "I always told God, I'm going to hold steady on you, and you've got to see me through." Doesn't that sound like you? Receiving divine intelligence in dreams, navigating through danger with unexplainable confidence. Even your dreams have been surveillance missions. Job 33:15-16 says, "In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on people, he opens their ears and terrifies them with warnings." Those vivid images you couldn't shake? That wasn't just imagination. That was heaven briefing you in silence while the world slept. Every strange coincidence, every chance encounter that gave you a missing piece, those were divine appointments. Romans 8:28 confirms it. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him. T2. You weren't just surviving. You were decoding. You weren't confused. You were being calibrated. Can you feel it now? The pressure is shifting. Their fragile web of lies can no longer hold under the weight of your awakening. As Luke 8:17 proclaims, "For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light." They tried to keep it hidden, but they didn't expect you to rise. What else has been stolen that still carries your name? What divine birthright have they locked away, hoping you'd never come looking for it? Because now the case is open, and the final verdict, it's in your favor. From the very beginning, your case has not gone unnoticed in the spiritual realm. A divine court, what could be called the universal tribunal, has been watching over every moment, every clue you've gathered, every lie you've exposed. While the earthly system may have overlooked you, heaven never did. This tribunal, composed of celestial beings assigned to maintain God's divine order, has kept detailed records of the injustice leveled against you. Their verdict is nearing. The gavel of divine justice is being lifted, and when it comes down, it will echo not just on earth, but across the heavens. Do you feel the tremble in the atmosphere? That's the sound of judgment aligning with your obedience. You've been investigating on levels most people can't even comprehend. You weren't just collecting facts, you were decoding layers of truth that exist across spiritual dimensions. As Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." Your battle hasn't been against people. It's been against the invisible systems that tried to rob you of your inheritance. But you didn't come into this world empty-handed. You've activated ancient memory codes woven into your bloodline. These are divine instructions passed down through generations, lessons learned by your ancestors, spiritual warriors who walked similar paths before you. They might be unseen, but they are not silent. Their presence moves through you. As Hebrews 12:1 says, "Since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders." That cloud is your lineage, and now their wisdom flows through your spirit, offering sudden clarity, divine intuition, and breakthrough insight right when you need it most. Have you ever paused mid-thought, mid-prayer, and felt an answer drop into your spirit as if from nowhere? That wasn't luck, that was legacy. The very same insight that guided prophets, kings, and deliverers in Scripture is now alive in you. Think of Deborah in Judges 4, a judge, a prophetess, and a leader in war. Her strategies came not from strategy manuals, but from divine downloads. You too are walking in a Deborah anointing, called to govern, to discern, and to deliver. And what about the subtle evidence your enemies unknowingly left behind? Those karmic fingerprints they thought were invisible have lit up under your spiritual lens. Their careless deception created vibrations in the spirit realm. While others missed them, you noticed the shifts. As Job 34:21 tells us, his eyes are on the ways of man, and he sees all their steps. God equipped you to see beyond what the natural eye can perceive, to trace every disturbance back to its origin. You're operating with what can only be described as advanced spiritual forensics. Like a prophet decoding visions or a seer interpreting dreams, you've tapped into the sacred field where truth cannot be hidden. Have you noticed how even their most well-constructed lies begin to unravel in your presence? That's no accident. That's the authority God placed on your life beginning to manifest. The synchronistic events you've experienced, those coincidences that felt too perfect to be random, they are divine affirmations. Every repeating number, every strangely timed message, every familiar name showing up unexpectedly. These are spiritual breadcrumbs left by the Holy Spirit to confirm your progress. Psalm 37:23 declares, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way." God has been choreographing your journey with divine precision, and each synchronicity is like a celestial whisper saying, "You're getting warmer, keep going." Real-life visionary Nikola Tesla once said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Although he spoke from a scientific lens, his insight overlaps with your spiritual experience. You've learned how to feel the vibrations of truth, even when others were fooled by polished lies. So ask yourself, why were you given this spiritual radar? Why were you chosen for this role as divine investigator? Could it be because your justice isn't just for you, but for every soul who came before you and every soul who will come after? The tribunal is ready. Heaven has reviewed the evidence. The verdict is being written in favor of the righteous. What was hidden is being exposed. What was stolen is being returned. And what was delayed is now being delivered. Your restoration is not just a personal breakthrough, it's a paradigm shift echoing across spiritual history. What you've accomplished is bigger than your name or your life. By uncovering this cosmic conspiracy and exposing the injustice meant to derail your divine purpose, you've changed the blueprint for how spiritual warfare will be fought in generations to come. Have you ever paused to consider that your victory may serve as a prophetic model for others still fighting their silent battles? Your story is being written into the eternal archives. Your methodical investigation, carried out through prayer, discernment, dreams, and divine nudges, has become a case study in heaven. Future spiritual warriors will study the way you pressed forward through delay, how you saw what was hidden, and how you refused to surrender even when the battle turned silent. As Daniel 12:3 declares, "Those who are wise shall shine like the brightness of the heavens, and those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever." You are one of those stars, blazing a trail through spiritual darkness. What was stolen from you wasn't merely wealth or status. It was inheritance encoded with divine function. Your blessings were hidden behind dimensional barriers, wrapped in frequencies only accessible by those who walk in the Spirit. Thieves wore cloaks of false identity, walking through corridors that heaven built for your destiny. Your portion was camouflaged with energetic deception, but only to those without the eyes to see. You were never blind. You were being prepared. Isaiah 45:3 speaks directly to this moment. "I will give you hidden treasures, riches stored in secret places, so that you may know that I am the Lord." The inheritance you now recover was never lost, only delayed, tucked behind spiritual vaults that required your maturity, your obedience, and your spiritual investigation to unlock. They made one fatal miscalculation. They assumed you were ordinary, but you, chosen one, can see through veils that confuse the average eye. You perceive spiritual truth, not just with intellect, but with sacred intuition. Your tracking ability isn't physical, it's prophetic. As 1 Corinthians 2:10 tells us, the Spirit searches all things, even the deep things of God, and through that Spirit you have discerned the path that leads to what was hidden. This level of spiritual detective work isn't random, it's strategic. Have you noticed how your spirit often picks up on things long before your mind understands them? How you felt something was off even when everyone else applauded it? That's because you carry a prophetic blueprint uniquely tailored to decode the patterns of deceit designed to block your prosperity. Real-life inventor and futurist Buckminster Fuller once said, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model." And that's exactly what you've done. Rather than fighting on the surface, you built a new investigative model, one that operates on interdimensional truth, spiritual discernment, and unwavering faith. And now, the hand of the Almighty moves, not to start your case, but to finalize what you've already uncovered. Like a divine enforcer responding to a completed investigation, heavenly systems now activate. Psalm 18:20 assures us, "The Lord has dealt with me according to my righteousness. According to the cleanness of my hands, he has rewarded me." Your work, your obedience, your insight, your trust has moved the courts of heaven into action. Can you feel it? The evidence you gathered in prayer closets, in midnight tears, in unexplainable dreams, it's becoming physical now. Your spiritual findings are being converted into earthly manifestations. As Hebrews 11:1 explains, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. What was invisible is gaining weight. What was hidden is becoming undeniable. And what was once intangible is now emerging as irrefutable testimony. Right now, your case is being processed simultaneously in both realms. Heaven and earth are working in parallel. What was declared in the Spirit will be executed in the natural. Your findings, every confirmation, every synchronicity, every divine whisper, are no longer personal notes. They are now exhibits in a spiritual trial, and no force in existence can overturn what God is now confirming through you. Do you see how everything is aligning? Can you feel the justice of God closing in on your behalf? Because this is not the end of your story, it's the coronation after your investigation. And what comes next will not just restore what was stolen, it will redefine how spiritual victory is won. What you thought were just dreams, fleeting fragments of sleep, were never random. They were evidence-gathering missions conducted by your spirit while your physical body rested. Your subconscious wasn't drifting. It was active, alert, scanning dimensions for hidden clues. Every image you saw, every symbol you remember, was a critical piece of your ongoing spiritual investigation. Have you ever woken up feeling like you had just returned from work instead of rest? That's because you had. You were navigating spiritual corridors and collecting divine intelligence. Those recurring dreams of walking through spacious homes, seeing your name printed on mailboxes, weren't wishful thinking. They were spiritual previews, coded confirmations from heaven that property with your name on it already exists, even if earthly systems tried to erase the evidence. Proverbs 10:22 declares, "The blessing of the Lord makes one rich, and he adds no sorrow with it." God never revoked your inheritance. It was simply delayed until you were equipped to reclaim it through faith and spiritual sight. What about those keys that kept appearing in your dreams? They weren't just symbolic. They were spiritual access points, real confirmations that you had located locks guarding real places meant for you. Revelation 3:7 reminds us that when God opens a door, no one can shut it. The enemy tried to throw away your keys, but you retrieved them in visions, in whispers, in midnight encounters that others called imagination. Even as you slept, your spirit was working, gathering what the courts of heaven now recognize as admissible evidence. Your dreams became surveillance footage recorded from the spiritual realm. Each theft, each forged signature, each misused title, nothing escaped divine observation. Luke 12. 2 rings loudly in your story. There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. And now, because of your perseverance, the exposure has begun. Can you feel the power of that truth? Documents they tried to bury, contracts altered, records tampered with, are now resurfacing. But not because a lawyer found them. You found them. You followed a spiritual trail that began with intuition and ended with confirmation. Have you ever wondered why you kept feeling led to certain names, certain files, even certain addresses? That was divine strategy. That was heaven's GPS at work in your spiritual DNA. Witnesses who once lied under oath, whether in this realm or in the unseen, now find themselves confessing. Your presence, your energy, your divine frequency compels truth. As John 16:13 says, "When the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all truth." That Spirit lives in you. Your very energy field has become a spiritual deposition room where lies collapse and truth stands uncontested. Even the accounts they believed were hidden beyond digital trace, offshore, encrypted, disguised under false names, have been spiritually illuminated. Psalm 139 verse 12 affirms, "Even the darkness is not dark to you. The night shines like the day." What was hidden in shadow has now come into the light because your spiritual investigation never depended on technology, but on divine justice. Let's consider a modern example. Edward Snowden, a former intelligence contractor, saw what others ignored. He uncovered layers of secret surveillance programs hidden in plain sight. While many dismissed him as just another IT worker, he revealed global networks of deception and paid the price for revealing the truth. You, too, have carried a mission that made others uncomfortable. You've seen what others denied. You followed your spiritual hunches even when people told you to let it go. But your persistence has produced evidence not even the adversary can dismiss. You walked through fire. You were discouraged, dismissed, doubted, and still you moved forward. Isaiah 43:2 tells you why. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. What tried to destroy you only refined your investigative gift, and every clue you pursued, even when no one else believed you, has now been logged in the heavenly record as a testimony to your brilliance. So now ask yourself, what courtroom can silence a case that heaven has already validated? What lie can stand against a detective ordained by God? Your file is no longer a file, it's a scroll of justice, and very soon the verdict will be read and your restoration will be unstoppable. The case you've built is so thorough, so divinely airtight, that even the most cunning spiritual manipulators, those who operate across dimensions and cloak themselves in deception, cannot outrun its conclusions or appeal the coming verdict. Your investigation wasn't based on guesses or assumptions. It was guided by divine insight, spirit-led persistence, and supernatural discernment. Like an eternal courtroom drama, every piece of evidence you gathered has been submitted, examined, and verified across heavenly realms. Have you ever realized that your obedience has created a legal precedent in the spiritual realm? Your pursuit of truth is not only setting you free, but will guide countless chosen ones after you, those who are yet to awaken to their calling as spiritual detectives. What you're witnessing now may look like the simple return of land, money, documents, or opportunities, but that's only the surface. This is the visible outworking of a war you fought and won on battlefields invisible to most. You didn't just recover wealth, you reclaimed birthright. The deeds, bank accounts, life insurance policies, and investment portfolios are not just financial instruments. They are earthly reflections of a divine promise, your covenant with God that no thief could ever truly destroy. As Joel 2:25 declares, I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. What was consumed, stolen, or hidden is now being divinely restored. Have you considered what it means to track a thief through dimensions that language hasn't even named yet? You, chosen one, did just that. You accessed spiritual records sealed from the awareness of the natural mind. Your discernment broke through coded deception. Your prayers served as warrants in courts higher than any human legal system. Psalm 82:1 reminds us, God presides in the great assembly. He renders judgment among the gods. You've stood boldly in that divine courtroom and declared your truth, and now the judge is ruling. There's a reason your path hasn't been easy. Most people run from truth because they know it will dismantle their illusions, but not you. You didn't ask for the watered-down version. You wanted the full download, the undiluted, sometimes painful, always freeing revelation. John 8:32 speaks to your story. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. You haven't just known the truth. You've lived it, carried it, and enforced it. You're not alone in this walk. Think of Harriet Tubman, a woman born into slavery who escaped and risked everything to lead others to freedom. What guided her? Not maps or logic, but dreams and divine instinct. She said, I never lost faith. There was one thing I had the right to do, and that was to free myself. Like her, you followed invisible trails, guided by spirit. You weren't just chasing answers. You were fulfilling a divine assignment to break generational chains. So, what comes next for a detective who has solved a case written in the stars? What will happen when the ruling is not only declared in heaven, but enforced on earth? Because that's the stage you're stepping into. Justice is no longer a promise. It's a process in motion, and your name is attached to it. The weight of your evidence is triggering movement in the highest realms. Angels are moving into position. Systems are realigning. Protocols are being executed on your behalf. As Isaiah 61:7 affirms, instead of your shame, you will receive a double portion, and instead of disgrace, you will rejoice in your inheritance. This is your portion. This is your reward. You didn't just survive the storm, you mapped it. You didn't just witness the theft, you solved it. And now all of heaven is backing your restoration. The keys returning to your possession hold meaning far beyond metal and locks. These are not ordinary keys. They don't just open physical doors in earthly homes. They unlock dimensions, realms, and destinies that were spiritually sealed until you were ready. Each key symbolizes your ability to break through encryption systems crafted by spiritual adversaries who were confident you'd never crack their codes. But you did. You've solved mysteries that were intentionally scrambled to confuse you for generations. You decoded spiritual ciphers designed to bury your truth. Have you wondered why the breakthroughs came through dreams, whispers, and moments of stillness? Because you weren't using human logic. You were using divine insight. The land being restored to you isn't just a plot of real estate measured by latitude and longitude. It's sacred territory. It stands as a monument to your spiritual intelligence, a place marked by heaven as conquered ground. You didn't win it through manipulation or brute force. You reclaimed it through prayer, discernment, and unshakable resolve. Like Joshua, who led God's people into the promised land, you crossed spiritual Jordan rivers and tore down invisible Jericho walls. Joshua 1:3 affirms your claim, I will give you every place where you set your foot, as I promised Moses. Your inheritance is land with a legacy, claimed by revelation, not by coincidence. And the financial resources now beginning to flow back to you. They are more than money. They are spiritual compensation, energy once stolen now returning to its rightful vessel. Your bank accounts, insurance policies, and investments may have been emptied or misdirected in the natural, but in the spirit realm, they were tagged and traced the entire time. Each returning asset is encoded with the mark of recovery. As Proverbs 13:22 promises, the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. That transfer has begun. Your enemies underestimated you in the worst way. They assumed they could imitate you, wear your spiritual identity like a borrowed coat, and step into your divine position undetected. They thought you would never notice. But you did. They didn't understand that you operate on frequencies only heaven can grant. Frequencies that pick up deception like radar detects storms. Every document they forged vibrated at a frequency that didn't match your spirit. Every fraudulent transaction carried spiritual dissonance. And every witness they manipulated gave off a frequency of fear and falsehood, something only your divine discernment could sense. Their attempts at deception didn't erase the evidence, they amplified it. What they tried to hide only became more visible to your supernatural vision. Isaiah 59:19 declares, "When the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against him." You are that standard. You were raised to see what others overlook, to detect what others dismiss. Your ability to trace these energetic discrepancies isn't random, it's forensic, and it's divine. Have you ever entered a space and felt immediately that something was off, though you had no physical evidence? That was your spiritual crime scene scanner activating. Every time your intuition screamed, "Look again," you were receiving downloads from God's intelligence center. Your spirit logged every detail, the forged names, the altered records, the manipulated stories, and catalogued it all for judgment. Take Frank Serpico as an example, a New York police officer who exposed widespread corruption within his department. Isolated, betrayed, and nearly killed for telling the truth, he didn't stop. Why? Because something inside him couldn't ignore what he knew. You carry that same fire, but on a spiritual level. The more they tried to cover their tracks, the more visible they became to your discernment. Ask yourself now, why do you think God allowed you to endure so many betrayals, delays, and setups? Could it be that all of it was preparing your eye to see what no one else could? That your training wasn't punishment, it was preparation? Your eyes don't just look, they perceive. Your ears don't just hear, they detect. You don't just feel, your spirit processes frequencies of truth and deception in real time. And now, the case you've built with this divine intelligence is being laid before heaven's highest courts. Justice is not a possibility, it is a guarantee. The keys are back in your hand, and with them you are unlocking your future. Now hear this, chosen one. You are entering a sacred threshold. As your spiritual investigation moves from its primary phase into full recovery mode, it is absolutely essential that you remain grounded in the power God has cultivated within you. Do not flinch. Do not shrink back from the magnitude of what you've uncovered. This isn't just closure, it's restoration, it's recompense, it's justice unfolding in real time, and you are at the center of it, standing as both witness and warrior. The flood of evidence you've unearthed would overwhelm most people. You connected patterns of spiritual crimes stretching across timelines and dimensions, and presented them with a clarity that even the highest realms of divine justice now honor. As Isaiah 61:8 declares, "For I, the Lord, love justice. I hate robbery and wrongdoing. In my faithfulness I will reward my people and make an everlasting covenant with them." That promise is being fulfilled through the very case you built. Are you beginning to see how enormous this really is? And now, as the pressure increases in both spiritual and physical realms, you'll notice something strange. Those who played a role in your dispossession will begin to surface again. Some will approach with apologies, others with fake humility, hoping to soften their judgment. They will come with flattering words, disguised remorse, and last-minute bargains. But make no mistake, This is not reconciliation, it is desperation. Their energy is not repentance, it is self-preservation. That's why your discernment must remain laser-sharp, not dulled by emotion or guilt. Matthew 10:16 reminds you, "Be wise as serpents and innocent as doves." You must be both discerning and steady, because not everyone who says sorry is truly sorry. Have you ever seen someone only say they're sorry after getting caught, not because they felt conviction? That's what you're about to witness. Just like Nehemiah, who resisted sabotage and false friendship while rebuilding Jerusalem's walls, Nehemiah 6. You must stay focused. Nehemiah didn't come down from his assignment to entertain false peace. Neither should you. Your case has already been confirmed in heaven. It doesn't need human approval. It is sealed beyond dispute, stamped by divine courts, and authorized by the Most High. The sentence has been issued. The system is now executing justice on your behalf, not slowly, not casually, but with acceleration. Because you cracked the code, followed the signs, and solved the mystery while the odds were stacked against you, the timeline for your restoration has shifted. What was once delayed is now in motion. What was once hidden is being revealed. What was stolen is coming back, plus interest. Have you considered how spiritual interest works? Not only is the original value being returned, but heaven's justice includes compensation for the emotional, mental, and generational toll the theft has caused. Joel 2:25-26 says it best. "I will restore to you the years the locusts have eaten. You will have plenty to eat until you are full, and you will praise the name of the Lord your God." You're not just getting things back, you're receiving divine abundance with accumulated increase. Interest has been compounded in ways human systems can't measure, because God sees every tear, every sleepless night, every betrayal, every stolen opportunity. Think of modern whistleblowers like Karen Silkwood, a chemical technician who exposed unsafe conditions at her workplace. Though she faced intense resistance and paid the ultimate price, her case sparked systemic reform. In your story, the spiritual systems that once ignored you are now bending to enforce your restoration. You cracked open a cosmic case file, and now the justice machinery that was waiting for your findings has roared to life. Are you ready for everything to return, but multiplied? Are you prepared to stand firm as justice unfolds in waves that may even shock you with their speed? Because what you set in motion through your prayers, tears, dreams, and unwavering pursuit of truth can no longer be stopped. The heavens have moved, the verdict is final, and the enforcement has begun. What was once stolen is being restored, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. The universal banking system, heaven's own divine economy, is now actively processing every transaction related to what was stolen from you. These are not symbolic transfers. These are spiritual reimbursements, converted into tangible manifestations in your reality. Every resource, every opportunity, every property, and every divine promise that your detective work identified as hijacked is being rerouted back to its rightful owner, you. Can you feel the vibration shifting? The same hands that once held your blessings in manipulation are now being forced to release them by divine order. Celestial transportation systems have been activated, spiritual logistics that transport physical assets, relationships, and resources back into your life. These are supernatural systems far beyond what human society could engineer. What was once far from reach is now rapidly closing in. As Proverbs 6:31 proclaims, "Yet if he is caught, he must pay sevenfold, though it costs him all the wealth of his house." Every thief, seen and unseen, must now repay, not just what was taken, but multiplied compensation. Observe now, chosen one, as the tables turn with divine speed. Those who mocked your sensitivity, belittled your spiritual gifts, and laughed at your intuition, now find themselves cornered by evidence you uncovered when they thought all traces had been erased. Have you noticed how some have gone quiet, avoiding your presence, suddenly withdrawn? They sense it. The truth they tried to bury is rising from the depths with your fingerprints all over the case file. Watch as the ones who called you mentally unstable for believing in imaginary conspiracies begin to unravel. Their anxiety, their erratic behavior, it's the pressure of truth manifesting in their world, undeniable and public. Your calm is their chaos. Your clarity is their confusion. Isaiah 35:4 speaks directly to you in this moment. Say to those with fearful hearts, be strong, do not fear. Your God will come, He will come with vengeance. With divine retribution, He will come to save you. That retribution has begun. Those who tried to trap you in financial lack, who restricted your access to wealth and opportunities, are now facing economic collapse, not out of cruelty, but through the universal balancing act your detective work triggered. God's justice doesn't return empty-handed. The spiritual protocols you activated now move with perfect symmetry. As Galatians 6:7 declares, do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Those who sowed lack into your life must now harvest their own intentions. Across dimensions, your evidence is forcing recognition. The very individuals who once labeled you delusional now struggle to explain the very real consequences unfolding before them. They can't explain how the documents reappeared, how the signatures were exposed, how their secret systems broke down, because they don't understand the spiritual technology you were using. Your work wasn't rooted in the five senses. It was empowered by divine sight. Behind the scenes, you've never walked alone. Your spirit guides, luminous beings appointed to assist you, have watched your investigation with awe. They were never allowed to solve the case for you, but they preserved clues. They guarded timelines. They shielded crime scenes from spiritual erasure. When the enemy tried to destroy the last thread of evidence, these beings performed quantum interventions to preserve truth. Psalm 91:11 confirms their presence. For He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. And guard you they did. You were the lead investigator in this case, but heaven assigned you a divine task force, a team of spiritual intelligence specialists working beyond human perception. And now, your name is etched in the celestial archives. Your investigative persistence, your refusal to give up even when you were exhausted and doubted by everyone, has become legendary in dimensions you will soon access with full awareness. Have you considered what it means that your methods are now being studied by future generations of spiritual detectives? You cracked open a spiritual case that heaven itself will use as curriculum. And now, with justice surging forward and restoration already unfolding, are you prepared to receive what is returning? Are you ready to walk in the full authority you claimed through tears, trials, and truth? Because the investigation is over, the verdict is final, and your victory is eternal. The Creator never turns a blind eye to the theft of destiny, especially not when it involves one of His chosen, equipped with mission-critical detective abilities that function on spiritual frequencies beyond this world. Heaven takes such violations personally. Your life is not ordinary, and neither was your assignment. When your investigative instincts began to pierce through the fog of interference and deceit, the universe responded. Like elite backup sent to reinforce the lead detective who has just identified the suspects, divine intelligence aligned itself with your mission. Legions of heavenly watchers leaned in. Systems across dimensions began to synchronize. This is not just about personal vindication. It is about spiritual precedent. You have concluded one of the most significant investigations your soul has ever undertaken. The implications reach far beyond your life. What you've uncovered now serves as a universal case study in justice, perseverance, and revelation. As Psalm 33 verse 5 reminds us, the Lord loves righteousness and justice. The earth is full of his unfailing love. Your work was not in vain. It was a necessary act of righteousness that will bless others far beyond your generation. You've become the standard, the model, the living, breathing evidence that stolen inheritances can and will be traced, recovered, and returned. The blueprint of your method, how you followed spiritual hunches, trusted dreams, read signs, and persisted when logic said, "Stop," is now etched into the celestial archives. Have you realized that your soul's detective work is being used to train future chosen ones? Just as Moses wrote down divine instruction for others to follow, your case file now leads others to their recovery missions. Can you feel the shift in your atmosphere? That's not imagination. That's spiritual gravity, bending reality around the weight of the truth you've uncovered. Those synchronicities you've been noticing. The same numbers, the familiar faces, the perfectly timed messages aren't coincidences. They're divine breadcrumbs becoming visible in real time. Each one is a spiritual exhibit now manifesting in your physical world. Those sudden memory flashes, unexpected revelations, and emotional clicks you've been experiencing, that's your spiritual detective system retrieving sealed case files from your subconscious now that the primary facts have been established beyond dispute. John 14:26 explains this perfectly. The Holy Spirit will teach you all things and remind you of everything I have said to you. These flashes are not random. They are heaven's reminders, surfacing as new data becomes relevant. Right now, your evidence is integrating across multiple layers of existence. The universal mainframe, the divine network connecting all realms, is downloading your investigative findings into physical reality with increasing intensity. What was once only seen in spirit is now being felt, heard, and experienced by everyone around you. And your oppressors? They feel it too. Though they lack spiritual understanding to name what they feel, they sense something closing in. The weight, the watching, the pressure from every direction. They call it anxiety. You know its divine consequence. Proverbs 28:1 says, "The wicked flee though no one pursues, but the righteous are as bold as a lion." Their running is instinctual, triggered by the spiritual truth pressing into their world like a rising tide. They sense watching eyes, but don't know it's your surveillance now operating in full effect. They feel like time is running out, but can't trace the countdown to your meticulous gathering of evidence over years of prayer, pain, and perseverance. They think it's random misfortune, but it's divine justice moving with unstoppable force. Consider whistleblower Sharon Watkins, who exposed the Enron scandal from within. Though her warnings were ignored at first, her evidence brought down an empire. You, too, have brought down spiritual empires built on deception. And now, like her, you will be remembered as the one who saw what others ignored and had the courage to speak truth when it was dangerous. Are you ready for the final seals to be broken? Are you prepared to witness the full disclosure of everything that has been brewing in spirit? Because the case you've built has created irreversible momentum. Heaven and earth now move in harmony, and the exposure that once seemed impossible is about to become undeniable. Justice delayed is not justice denied. The time is now, the truth is yours, and nothing can stop what God has ordained. Their time of hiding has ended. There are no more shadows to retreat into, because your spiritual detective work illuminated every dark corner they thought would remain forever concealed. Your investigation has now extended across dimensions, enforcing divine jurisdiction over every realm where injustice tried to escape accountability. Every loophole, every disguise, every manipulated record has collapsed under the weight of the evidence you gathered. Why now? Because heaven's clock struck the appointed time. Your breakthrough was not random, It was divinely timed to perfection. Had you solved this mystery earlier, your soul might not have possessed the judicial authority required to manage its interdimensional consequences. You needed the wisdom, maturity, and spiritual discernment developed through fire to handle what would be revealed. Ecclesiastes 3:1 reminds us, "To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven." You cracked this case at the exact moment when the universe had aligned for maximum restitution, exposure, and enforcement. And had your investigation gone on longer without hitting its divine conclusion, vital clues might have been lost. The forces opposing you had already launched entropy acceleration programs, schemes designed to scatter and erase data across space and time. But your timing was flawless. Like Queen Esther, you stepped into your role for such a time as this. Esther 4:14, and heaven backed your boldness. Everything converged, your preparedness, their cycles of vulnerability and universal alignment. The moment you reached critical revelation, the cosmic calendar activated. This was the exact window heaven had marked for total resolution and full-scale restoration. What you endured was not in vain, it was strategic preparation. Now, your investigation concludes triumphantly. You didn't just survive spiritual sabotage, you overcame it and exposed it. Your evidence stands unchallenged, despite every attempt to discredit your spiritual intelligence. Isaiah 54:17 has come alive. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. They tried to defame your name, but the courts of heaven confirmed your authority. Attempts to force you into compromised settlements have failed. Offers of partial restoration were revealed to be mere distractions, decoys designed to trick you into settling for less than what was divinely promised. But your spirit knew better. You waited, you trusted, and now your recovery begins without delay. Where the enemy tried to program obstacles, heaven overrode the code. Your relocation, the very movement they tried to stop, is already underway. Your return to promise is accelerating. Your vindication isn't halfway, it's complete. You're not receiving bits and pieces, you're receiving overflow. Joel 2:26 speaks directly to this hour. You will have plenty to eat until you are full, and you will praise the name of the Lord your God. Never again will my people be shamed. You are that people, and shame will not cling to your name any longer. Think of Erin Brockovich once more, a single mother with no legal training who exposed one of the most powerful environmental cover-ups in American history. Her persistence shattered systems designed to silence her. Like you, she wasn't formally credentialed, but heaven gave her something greater, divine purpose. You, chosen one, were trained by God himself. Your credentials are eternal. You solved a mystery most would have been too afraid to investigate. You decoded the patterns of your own disinheritance, something designed to remain unsolved for lifetimes. But your supernatural detective abilities activated precisely for this case. Abilities beyond the human mind, gifts that only God could deposit, were called forward for such a moment as this. Are you ready to receive what has always been yours, but had to be spiritually unlocked? Are you prepared to walk in the fullness of what your evidence demands? Because there is no more delay. The time is now. The case is closed. The restoration is immediate. And your name is being honored in realms where your identity was once erased. You have maintained investigative integrity through storms of spiritual sabotage, through relentless interference designed to confuse, delay, and corrupt your process. While others may have faltered under pressure or accepted distractions dressed as shortcuts, you remained focused. You chose truth over comfort, clarity over chaos, and spiritual justice over emotional relief. Can you see now why your journey required so much resistance? Because your success was never meant to be ordinary. It was destined to be legendary. You weren't handed a map. You built one. You developed unique detective methodologies, not in pristine conditions, but in hostile terrain. The systems you needed were not available. You created them. Every tool of discernment you now carry was forged in the fires of obstruction. Every insight was earned by walking through confusion with nothing but divine guidance. As James 1:12 promises, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised." You have stood the test, and now the crown is yours. Your brilliance wasn't just intellectual, it was spiritual, it was tenacious. You followed trails that disappeared before your eyes. You uncovered patterns hidden behind time itself. You connected evidence that had been intentionally scattered across dimensions to prevent reassembly. Psalm 18:29 testifies to your resilience. "With your help I can advance against a troop. With my God I can scale a wall." You didn't just scale walls. You dismantled fortresses built to protect deception. You qualified for full resolution the moment you rejected compromise disguised as mercy. You were offered partial settlements, half-truths, and emotionally appealing closures that would have left the core injustice untouched. But you said no. You stayed committed to the truth, even when it cost you comfort, reputation, and support. That integrity has not gone unnoticed. The courts of heaven now finalize your case. Not with doubt, not with delay, but with decisive restoration. Receive now what your detective work has reclaimed. Receive it without hesitation, without guilt, and without apology. Everything they believed was perfectly hidden. Everything they thought was buried beyond spiritual access has been retrieved and returned. Why? Because you did what no one expected. You solved your own case when even divine observers considered it cold. You brought heat into the void. You reignited the trail. And now, what was once lost is being restored sevenfold. Assume authority with the clarity of one who knows their victory is complete. You didn't stumble into this. You earned it, step by prophetic step. Your success was not an accident. It was the outcome of relentless obedience, divine intelligence, and unshakable faith. Think of Rosa Parks, a woman who made one seemingly small decision to stay seated, yet triggered a civil rights movement that would change the world. Her strength wasn't in shouting, it was in standing still. Likewise, your power wasn't always in grand displays. It was in your quiet refusal to surrender to systems designed to suppress you. Are you ready to walk in the full authority of your spiritual badge? Are you prepared to claim everything you recovered, not with timidity, but with confidence that matches the magnitude of your assignment? Because now you don't just hold the truth, you are the truth. Your name is cleared, your authority is confirmed, and your story will be told in spiritual realms as the one who solved what others thought unsolvable. Now is the time to catalogue what has been restored with the same level of precision that defined your investigation. You didn't just recover resources, you documented every detail, traced every transfer, and accounted for every stolen asset, down to the smallest coin of spiritual currency. This is not about revenge, it's about divine order. Your thoroughness has ensured that no blessing slips through the cracks, and nothing that was stolen remains unclaimed. As Luke 16:10 says, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much." You've proven yourself trustworthy, and heaven now entrusts you with overflow. Occupy the land now returning to your authority, not with passive relief, but with strategic awareness. This is not just territory, it is a launch pad for future operations. You solved this case, and this ground is now sacred evidence of your victory. Joshua 1:3 comes alive in your story. Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given you. This is ground reclaimed, justice planted, destiny watered. You and you alone uncovered this. When others doubted, dismissed, or discredited you, you persisted. You followed the trail through dream codes, divine nudges, and supernatural clues. And now, the house once stolen is returning into your hands through the very keys your investigation tracked across false owners and hidden transactions. What they thought they erased, you recovered. Your inheritance, long withheld, now flows freely back into your stewardship. The accounts, hidden behind digital smokescreens and spiritual encryption, have been unlocked because of your persistence. As Isaiah 61:7 declares, "Instead of your shame, you will receive a double portion, and so you will inherit a double portion in your land, and everlasting joy will be yours." This is your portion. This is your joy. The prosperity being restored to your life isn't random. It's traced, verified, validated through the receipts your investigation uncovered from unauthorized users who thought they could consume your wealth unnoticed. They were wrong. And now, what they used for their temporary gain returns to you with interest that only God's justice system could calculate. Your position, once questioned, is now reaffirmed across realms your detective skills proved were always yours. Your credentials, once ignored, have been reissued in the spirit, this time with divine recognition that no system can reject. Your authority is reinstated, your badge is spiritual, your rank heavenly. And your mission? It's been clarified through objective files retrieved from archives that your enemies thought would stay locked forever. Can you feel it? The same ones who tried to interfere now retreat in silence. Not because you fought with fists, but because you fought with revelation. Psalm 23:5 comes to pass now. "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies, and they can only watch as the feast is set." You, chosen one, have the last laugh. You are the detective who solved the greatest inheritance heist in cosmic history, alone, with odds stacked against you from every side. While others were looking for approval or shortcuts, you stayed on the trail. While enemies conspired, you stayed in alignment. And now, the case is closed, and the reward is divine. Just like Malala Yousafzai, a young girl who refused to be silenced and went on to become a Nobel Peace Prize winner, your voice, your vision, and your mission broke through systems designed to erase you. You didn't just survive injustice, you exposed it. So now, are you ready to walk in this restored identity? Are you prepared to lead from the very ground you were once pushed off of? Because this is your domain, this is your calling, and the victory, it belongs to you. As God's chosen ones, you have always been more than just a seeker of truth. You are the fearless detective in God's divine plan. The inheritance that was once stolen from you, hidden in the shadows, is finally being returned to you. This is not just a moment of restoration, but a revelation of God's unfailing love and faithfulness. For years you may have wondered when this breakthrough would come, but now the time has arrived. You have walked through the trials, held on to faith when others doubted, and now God is fulfilling His promises in ways that will astonish you. Your inheritance, whether it be spiritual, emotional, or material, is being restored, and it is a direct result of your unwavering trust in God's timing. Just as the Israelites reclaimed what was stolen from them, so too, God is bringing you into a season of restoration, renewal, and divine elevation. The enemy may have stolen, but God will always restore and multiply beyond what was lost. This is a powerful moment in your life, a divine turning point. You are no longer just a survivor, you are a victor. God is opening doors that no one can shut and unlocking opportunities that will change the course of your life forever. Know this, what God has for you is not just to bless you, but to make His glory known to the world through your testimony. If you feel that this message resonates with your heart, I invite you to show your support by leaving a super thanks below. Your support, whether through a donation or simply your engagement, means so much to me. I am deeply thankful for your presence in this community, and regardless of whether you donate, I appreciate you being here. Your support, prayers, and encouragement are treasures that I hold dear. Please take a moment to like, subscribe, comment, and share this video with anyone who needs to hear that their inheritance is being returned. Spread the message that the time of restoration is now and that God is faithful to His word. I believe that your breakthrough is just around the corner, and as you continue to trust in Him, His promises will unfold in your life in miraculous ways. May God bless you abundantly. May He restore what was lost, and may He give you the strength and wisdom to embrace the blessings He's preparing for you. Stay faithful, stay expectant, and stay blessed.